Hello folks, I'm not going to be getting out in the garage today. I've got a short video. I just had a little bit of time between projects here around the house to put together some numbers for this Chevy motor rebuild. That was the decision that was made, so I'll bring you along and tell you about that ride. Okay, so the decision was made to go ahead and just rebuild this whole motor with 213,000 miles on it. Everybody that I've spoken with, and my experience as well, tells me that with that many miles on it, if I just did the top end, I would probably be wasting my time, because I'd probably be going back in and doing the bottom end later on down the road. So started doing a lot of research on the interwebs, and came up with a whole slew of possibilities. One possibility was getting a long block from various different companies. One company I looked into was Powertrain Products. The long block there cost total $2,099. That's shipped and all the core charges and everything included. Then also my brother suggested Jasper Motors. He just had a Jasper motor put in his wife's pickup truck. The long block there cost $2,884 with a core of 300 and then a skid charge of $50, bringing it up to $3,234. That's a lot of money. That's way outside my budget. I am getting some help from for right now, unnamed source that has agreed to pay half of whatever we decide to do. So I had a hard time finding machine shops in the area. The one machine shop that I knew of was I thought was, or had been told, was out of business, and contacted another guy about 25-30 miles away, and his prices were pretty darn high, if you ask me. But then it come to find out, I drove by where that other machine shop that I knew of was, and they were indeed still open. So, and he says they're not going anywhere, so I can trust them. And my neighbor across the street has used them for his Pontiac 400 that he had built. Actually, they built it for him. I wouldn't let them build the motor, but the machine work I would trust them for. They didn't seem to have any problems with that whenever we installed that, or he installed that motor across the street. But there were some other things that weren't right on it that were really simple mistakes, but I won't go into that, and I won't go into who the name is of the company. So, but they gave me prices for cleaning the engine, the block and the heads for $120. And you guys can kind of think about what, when I go through these numbers, think about what your area charges, and let me know if these guys are in line with what you're seeing in your area. I'd appreciate any input. To clean everything in a vat. I don't know what kind of vat they use, but this one's definitely going to need a lot of cleaning. So they're charging $120. The other guy was going to charge me $450 just to clean. No, this company here charges $200 for boring. Install the cam bearings and freeze plug, $60. Pistons on and off the rods, $80. Recondition rods, $80. Polish crank, $60. I don't think the crank is going to need turning, but I will verify that before I take it to them. I'll tell you about that in a moment. Valve job, $100, and mill the heads, $80. So that total comes to $780 just in machine work and cleaning. I found 2 different places where I can get a master rebuild kit for the Chevy 305, 87 Chevy 305 TDI with cam and lifters. One of them is $647. That's with cam and lifters, and the other is $627. Now the one with $647, I'm sorry, I don't remember. Engine Tech, I think, is the name of the company. Everything I've seen online seems to show that the parts that they provide are quality parts, but this other company that I found through Amazon is $20 cheaper, but it uses name brands like Melling, Elgin cams. I forget now the other names, but all name brand that I'm familiar with, that I've heard of and have used in the past. So seal power for rings and stuff like that. Whereas this other company, everything is their own brand name. Don't know. If you guys know of Engine Tech and can tell me a little bit about their parts, again, I'd appreciate it. But like I said, the other company is all name brand, but it's a little bit on the difficult side because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to need 30 over pistons, and in order to get that through this other company, the cheaper company, I have to figure out a way to call them or contact them and let them know at the time I place the order what size I need and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm not real sure how to do that. So the last thing I want is to get standard size pistons in when I've had it bored 30 over. So the grand total for the Engine Tech and the machine work would be $1,428, and then the grand total with the other company would be $1,448. So it's only $20. Actually, it's $20 less. So it would be $1,408. I guess what I'm wondering is how much am I going to save if I rebuild this thing myself, or if I go with a long block. So the savings, if I went with the powertrain products, if I compare the powertrain products to the cost of machine work and parts, I would save $671.03. If I compare it to the Jasper, I'd be saving $1,806.13. I'll put this all in a spreadsheet at the end so that you guys can see all this, and hopefully you'll be able to pause it and look. But my intentions are, I think, we're going to go ahead and go with get the machine work done and buy the master kit and rebuild this thing myself. And then before I send it to the machine shop, once I've got the motor out and apart, I'll before I start taking the rods out, I'll clean it up and then check the clearances with the original bearings and everything before I take it apart with plastic gauge. I realize plastic gauge is not as accurate as the conventional methods that machine shops use, but I don't have machine shop type stuff. So I am 100% sure that this engine has never been into. I'm 99.9% sure that it has 218,000 miles on it. And I'm also 100% sure that I've heard no rod knocking. I've heard no unusual noises out of it other than the bubbling and gurgling. So so I'm pretty confident that the bottom end is relatively healthy, and so the crank should only need a polishing, providing I don't mess it up taking the rods out, which I'm pretty good at. Not messing it up, I mean. So that's where I'm at. I sure would appreciate any feedback you guys give. If you have any other parts dealers that might be cheaper but have reputable products, let me know. I'd appreciate any information. I've been out of this for a long time, even though I used to race. Since I came back from Germany, I did a short time working for super shops back when they were still around, and then got into banking, and then from then on I was in banking. So I'm way out of touch as far as where to get parts and the best place and for the best price. I don't mind using aftermarket or non-name brand products as long as they're good. But typically I would like to have the parts that are of a brand name, like milling pumps. I know milling pumps. I've used them all my mechanic parts of my life. So I haven't seen any kits offered other than possibly with places like Summit and Jegs, where they offer Felpro gaskets. I've also heard recently that Felpro is not what they used to be. Don't know, but like I said, I wanted to touch base with you guys, let you know what we're doing or what I'm working on, and I also to ask for any kind of advice you guys may have. I'd really appreciate any advice and any direction, as far as the best place to get parts and things of this nature. On a side note, whenever I looked at this Powertrain Products website, they actually show pictures of motors that have been rebuilt, and I gotta tell you, I have no experience with them. I'm only going by what I saw, what anybody can see on their website. But when they show the underside of the motor, the crankshaft still looks rusty. The rods still look rusty. It's just not a pretty motor. I would be really upset if I got one of those. So that alone, then after reading some of the reviews that I found online, but the pictures alone would probably keep me from buying their products. It's just not very good. They actually show pictures of piles and piles of crankshafts that are completely rusty. I mean, that's fine and dandy. If you want to let them out and get all rusty and then machine them back to health, that's fine. But clean the darn things up. I mean, I really wouldn't want a crankshaft that is completely rusty. Still, all the counterweights and everything, you don't know if they got in and cleaned all the rust and stuff out of the oil journals and things of this nature. I don't think I'd trust that. I just don't. The Jasper engines that they show, they do look nice and clean. They also have, it is thought that you have to be an installer in order to even purchase one of their motors. So like they won't warrant it to a DIY kind of guy. I don't know for sure. I know that Powertrain does work with DIYers, but I'm not sure about Jasper. I think you actually have to find an installer and have the installer order it for you, delivered, and then they install it, and you just go turn the key. I'm not a turn the key kind of guy typically. I mean, yeah, at my age that sounds really attractive, but I don't think that that's the way I want to go with this. Not only is it, in my opinion, kind of cheating, especially if you know how to do this stuff. It just, what fun is it? What fun is it? Later on down the road, I can say, yeah, I built this motor, and I took it to the machine shop, and they did this, that, and that. I picked the motor up. I checked all the tolerances when I was putting it back together and made sure that everything was okay. Put it back together, put it in the truck, and here's what I got. I did it. There are some things on this list that I can do. I can, if I wanted to, I could order a cam bearing tool for $60 or so and install the cam bearings. But they're charging me $60 to install cam bearings and freeze plugs. Why would I even want to do that? So now the piston on and off the rod, he's charging $80. I could easily do that with a small propane torch. I may leave that off and just install the pistons myself. But at the same time, he also has reconditioned rods, and that usually means that they go in and hone, make sure that the tolerances are good for the bearings. That I really can't do. I don't have any inside bore gauges or anything like that. So it would make sense to me to go ahead and have them do the pistons on and off the rod, recondition the rods to make sure that everything is correct before I put them in the engine. Milling the heads, being as I have already, we know, have an issue of some sort with the cooling system, with the bubbles and everything, and the differences in compression between the cylinders. So it's not a bad idea to have the heads milled down slightly, just enough to make it all the same level. Valve job, I don't have. Back in the old days when I worked at the auto hobby shop and was building my race motors, I had the availability of a valve grinder and a seat grinder. I don't have any of that now. So, I mean, I could just put it back together and lap the valves in, but grinding the valves and everything would make more sense, and would last a lot longer, I'm sure, and would give me a trouble-free. Once I start it up, I know I don't have to worry that I won't be a weak link. So everything that the guy put down for prices, for the price of $780 total, it makes sense to me. But like I said, let me know what you guys think. And like I said, if you have any suggestions for parts, the master rebuild kits, I sure would love to hear it, because I do need, like I say, I need a master rebuild kit that includes all the bearings, all the rods. All the bearings, all the pistons, gaskets, everything, camshaft, lifters. So I need the whole kit, and I would prefer name brand parts if I could get it, but I don't mind good non-name brand parts, generic, I guess you call that, if there is such a thing. But the Engine Tech, from what I've seen on the internet, seems to have pretty high ratings. But then again, so does Melling and all these other companies as well. So I had one person recommend that I go, instead of with a flat tappet cam, that I convert it over to a roller cam. That'd be great, but you're also talking about another $600-700. Not going to happen. This is just supposed to be getting my dad's truck back on the road. As long as I can get that cam broke in properly, then I have no problems with a flat tappet cam, because I mean, after all, it's lasted 218,000 miles. How do you beat that? If I can get another 100,000 miles out of it, I'd be really happy. But I really think with everything that I'd be putting into this, I would be able to double the mileage on it without a problem. The next weak link would be the transmission, brakes, rear end. That's it. I mean, anyway, again, like I said, please let me know what you think. Give me some suggestions and comments. I sure would appreciate it. And thanks for coming along for the ride. Please like and subscribe.